So this is a lecture on how to write a summary. And this is just a definition. A summary is a condensed version of an original text, usually a full article or book. Summaries vary in length from a few sentences to a paragraph. And then there's a list of what strong summaries are. Convince the reader that you have read the article closely and understand the argument. Accurately and objectively represent the author's central claim and key supporting points. Don't list the main ideas, but show how the reasons support the claim. Selective about details and examples, choosing only those that help illustrate a key point. And why do you need to learn how to summarize? And summaries are used really honestly everywhere. For work, we're seeing them in legal briefs, executive summaries, abstracts, um, often at board meetings. Um, we also see them just in real life, like, if a classmate or a coworker has been running late and they want to know what happened, you are going to summarize the class for them or the meeting. If somebody asks you about a book you read, in all likelihood, you're going to summarize it. Those kinds of things. And then there are tips for summarizing. Obviously, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you understand the material that you've been assigned to summarize. So if that means you need to read it again, then you should read it again and make notes while you're reading it. You have no personal opinion. So when you're writing a summary, it should have the appearance of objectivity. Always name the author, their full name, and the article title. Normally that's going to be in the first sentence. It can be in the second if there's a very good reason why you've pushed it back. After you've introduced the author with their full name, refer to them by their last name throughout the rest of the summary. You're always going to write in present tense unless there's a really good reason why you're not. Paraphrase examples to support your claims. Paraphrasing should be done in place of verbatim quotations. Verbatim is that fancy word for word quotations. You're not normally going to use a verbatim quote in a summary unless there's a really good reason as to why. The language is so unique, you can't possibly paraphrase it. When talking about an essay or an article, always capitalize the title and place the title in quotation marks. We don't use italics for essay or article titles, poem titles, television episode titles, song titles. Italics are used when referring to the title of magazines, books, movies, a television series, but not the episode. You're going to use phrases of attribution, which is just meaning that throughout the summary you're going to say, John Smith has written the book that you're summarizing. You're going to say, Smith asserts that, Smith acknowledges, Smith argues, so that the reader is never ever going to place you in that. You are merely summarizing the material. When you're writing a summary, you're going to use your own words to express the main ideas and relevant details of the piece that you're assigned to summarize. Your purpose is to reveal and expose those ideas that the author was communicating. So when you're taking notes, think in terms of who, what, when, where, why, and how. Almost think like a journalist or a detective. Begin by identifying the material you're summarizing. Again, title, author, time, and maybe the source of where the material comes from. So for example, in title of the piece, in brackets, the source and date or the date, author's name shows that, and you'll put the author's name, shows that, and then you're going to state the central idea of the piece. So that first sentence does double duty. It's telling your reader who has written this, what the title of the piece is, where it was published sometimes, when it was published, and what the main topic is. Be really careful not to distort or misrepresent the article you've read. And remember, you're not responding. You're not saying if you agree or disagree with it. A summary assignment is only asking for a summary. So I've placed a link for you to access this full chapter, and it's called Her Point Is the Art of Summarizing. This is a quote from page 30. If it is true that to argue persuasively you need to be in dialogue with others, then summarizing others' arguments is central to your arsenal of basic moves. So, can you think of any concrete examples when needing to summarize points made by other people is necessary? I've listed some. I've listed like summarizing a meeting or a conference for a colleague or a supervisor, summarizing a film or a television show for a friend, summarizing a complex piece of material for a meeting, summarizing material at a conference. So you can't really argue persuasively if you're unable to actually summarize. Because when you're arguing persuasively, you're normally going to rely on other material as evidence, as like kind of as a support system for your own claims. So you really need to be able to always summarize what other people are arguing or what other people think. Page 30 and 31 continues. And I'm not going to read the whole quotes. Obviously, you guys can pause and read them, which I suggest. And also the whole article would be helpful. But basically what they're saying is that there are kind of two types of people. And one type doesn't want to summarize. And they're suggesting there are reasons why. One might be they haven't bothered to actually go back to the material and wrestle with it, figure out what it says, what it's arguing, and what it's doing. And they suggest that those people are often much more interested in what they're saying than what other people are saying. And then on the opposite side of the spectrum are people that who all they're doing is like summarizing, saying this person thinks this person thinks this person thinks that, without actually indicating what they might think of something. Obviously, when you are summarizing, you are not responding. But for example, if I were to say to you, let's say I told you that I think that Stephanie Meyer's material, the Twilight Saga material, is questionable. If I'm actually going to say that to you, I need to know what that material is. I need to briefly be able to summarize it, and I need to be able to argue it. And that's just kind of what they're saying in this section. And for your own consideration, I'm asking you, why is suspending your own beliefs for a time necessary to summarize material? And then I'm also asking you, why is it important to understand your view and your own agenda when summarizing others' points? And I think these are really important questions. I think if you can suspend or push aside what you think, it allows room for you to consider other people's viewpoints. And I think it's also really important to understand your own agendas, your own even biases to material. Like, for example, if we return to Stephanie Meyer's, often when people mention this, they denigrate it as material that was designed, written, and engaged with by teenage girls. But we know that is actually not true. Twilight was read by people of various ages and different genders. So, but yet that kind of stereotype persists. So I've also included examples of summaries. And the first one, this is a summary of a television episode called Number 12 Looks Just Like You. And it's from 1964. I often teach it, and it's directed by Abner Bieberman. It was Rod Serling created the Twilight Zone series. And the Twilight Zone television series, I think it's had three runs, the 60s, I think the 80s, and again, I think fairly recently. So, in my view, the finest episodes are those that appeared in the 1960s. So this is just my summary for this television episode, and it's irrelevant whether you've seen it or you're familiar with it. You'll notice right away I'm mentioning Rod Serling's name. So I'm saying Rod Serling's renowned television series from the 1960s, The Twilight Zone, focused upon many cultural issues in the United States. So this is an example where I don't mention the director or the title of the episode until the second sentence. And you'll see there's a really good reason for that. It's because I'm talking about the television series and its creator. One of the most popular episodes, Number 12 Looks Just Like You, brackets giving you the year 1964, directed by Abner Bieberman, giving you the director, examined severe body modification in a future society. In the world of Number 12 Looks Just Like You, equality is disguised as conformity, and a cautionary tale emerges asking citizens in society to question its standards of beauty and its notions of contentment. So you actually don't know what I'm not responding. I'm not telling you how I feel or what I think about it. I am only giving you the bones of it. Then I've gone on to summarize material that I think most of you would have read or most of you are going to be familiar with. So, and I've also done something interesting here. I'm also giving a little bit of history on the writers. Sometimes that's helpful in summary, sometimes it's irrelevant. So under Veronica Roth, Veronica Roth published her first novel, Divergent, when she was 22, and the Divergent series continues to be her most successful series of novels. They have been made into movies and soon to be a television series. The Divergent series is a collection of science fiction novels for young adults, which unfolds as a coming-of-age story set in a dystopian, post-apocalyptic Chicago. The society is split into 5 different factions, which are constructed to remove the threat of anyone exercising independent will. So, and I've gone on to do that for Stephenie Meyer. Again, she's the writer of the Twilight series. I've on to do it with Suzanne Collins. She wrote The Hunger Games. And of course, J.K. Rowling, the writer of the Harry Potter series. So this is a summary of an academic article written by Brianna Burke, published in 2011. And it is called The Great American Love Affair. And she's referring to, when she uses the words Indians here, she's referring to indigenous peoples, not people from the country India. And there is a point in her article where she explains why she has chosen this term. And then this is just, this is quite, because academic work tends to be quite dense, this is quite a long summary. And this is a summary by John Beaudry, and it is a short article he's written, and he's talking about horticulture and landscape maintenance. And the article title is A New Paradigm in Landscape Maintenance. This again is an academic example, and it is from the release of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission findings on Indian residential schools in Canada. And she's dated it. The date is actually part of the title. So, and this again is quite dense. But again, you'll notice I am familiar with the whole of it before I try to write a summary about it. So those are some examples of summary. Also, you'll notice I normally summarize your reading material that you're assigned prior to going on to analyzing or discussing it. So also you can refer to those examples as well for your assignment. If you have any questions or you feel that there is something missing in this, please let me know and I will address it. And take care. Bye.